It's Fan Club Project Podcast. It's your boy Dre in the Carolinas, and I interview C.R. Knight, author of 30 Before 30. This is Knight's first collection of poetry written over the span of the author's 20s. Knight shares her life lessons, growing pains, and raw emotions in the poems such as Tower, Water, and Magic. And she brought that to the Fan Club Project Podcast. And y'all, we got a first interview. It's Fan Club Project Podcast. I'm with C.R. Knight, author of 30 Before 30. What's good, Sharice?
It is. It's a good day. It's beautiful outside. It's a great day to be here.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. I've been anticipating this.
Really?
I've never been interviewed for anything before, but yeah, definitely. I'm really, really excited to be here.
As I went through your book, I started to feel like me and you are a lot alike.
Yeah.
Because I'm a curious person, and I'm curious about the universe.
Yeah.
How everything works.
Right.
I feel like when I went through this poetry book, I feel like this is you.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I see a lot of me.
Yeah, no, literally the book is from, I wanted to be like from birth to the point where I am now. So a lot of it, the book itself spans over 4 years of my life, the latter half of my 20s for the most part, from like about 22 to now, because a lot of them I wrote this year. I think about 2 or 3 of them I actually wrote this year. So it was supposed to be like, from birth, from, where I came from to where I'm going.
Yeah, because I felt like this is it was like a timeline I was reading.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened.
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell it is. I will get to it.
Yeah.
Just a few pages seems like back to back to back. You had to write that. I don't know if you wrote it on the same day.
Yeah.
It was like back to back. In your dedication, you said, "Mama, thank you for giving me your talent and love and words." Was your mom a poet?
Yes, my mom is a poet. She's a poet and a writer. She was actually the first person whose poetry that I ever read in my entire life. So my mom's a poet and she's very talented. She just refuses to publish anything, which is frustrating. But look, if I can get her to publish a book, girl, look, she will be next.
Why do you think she won't publish it?
I think she's just weary. Like the world won't accept what she has to say, and I'm just like, Mom, like you're so talented. Like she was the first person to introduce me to Maya Angelou. Langston Hughes is one of my favorite poets. I think her name is Giovanni or something like that. She wrote a collection of love poems that I love so much. I can't remember. I think it's Giovanni something. I actually reached out to her to read my book, and she did, and I'm so excited that she did. Wow. So yeah, my mom is the one that introduced me to all like poetry, reading, writing, period. Like that was like one of my first forms of expressing myself was writing.
Did she have a lot of like stacks of poetry somewhere?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, and my grandmother too. Like my grandmother and my mom, they both encouraged me to read. My grandmother encouraged me to read. My mom encouraged me to write. So my mom, and then another thing, she would bring me to the library all the time. So I was also exposed to a lot of poetry that way. So yeah, yeah, my mom is like the main person. I wouldn't even be able to write as well as I do if it wasn't for her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
On another part of your dedication, you said, Daddy, thank you for giving me a reason to be an artist. Well, explain a little bit about that.
Okay, so my father, I feel like I was born to just be an artist. My mom's a writer. My father is an artist. Now he doesn't do a lot. Like he's not an artist that'll he's painting somewhere, but he's always doodling something. He's always I actually have a page in my sketchbook to where me and him were doodling together or whatever, and it was beautiful. And my father, especially my father and my uncles, they are all artists. They all know how to draw. They all know how to paint. And I put that in a dedication because I didn't want him to forget the fact that, hey, you are an artist, and thank you so much for giving me a reason and giving me that, because I feel like certain things are passed down just through your DNA. Like some of your kids are going to be able to take parts of you that you don't utilize and utilize it themselves in their own lives. So I feel like with my mom and my father, they both gave me those two separate things. My mom gave me, the poetry, the writing. My father gave me the artistry that I have. So yeah, that's pretty much where that it comes from. It's like my father is an artist, that he doesn't embrace it. And I wish he did.
Wow. So you got, sometimes in families, I know it's like one part of the families are very artistic and then the other parents, side of the family really business. So you have both parents.
Yeah.
Who's very artistic,
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah. My father, my latter half, when I was, I was in art school. I'm an art school dropout.
Oh, okay.
So he was encouraging me then. My mom always wanted me to be a writer. She always wanted me to be a writer, always. So, that's something that she's been encouraging me since I was in preschool. Like, one of my first poems that I wrote was to my mom. So it was a Mother's Day poem. So I think everybody has to do it, but mine was different because I didn't follow what the teacher said to do. I wrote my own thing, and the teacher was like, "Can we hang this?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
In your description on Amazon, you mentioned 3 specific poems: Water, Tower, and forgive me, Magic.
Yes, Magic. The Water, Tower, and Magic. They're all those 3 are spoken word pieces.
Okay.
Those are the reasons why I wanted to showcase those, because those, like, spoken word has become my strong suit. Like, it's one thing that makes me super happy. And I didn't start doing spoken word until about 2015.
Okay.
Ish. And then Water was one of my second performance pieces. So I don't know. Tower is something that means a lot to me, but it's also a performance piece, but I've never performed it. So, Water, I performed it 3 times at the Underground.
Oh, wow.
Coffee Underground.
Yeah.
When they do their little Sunday thing. I'm probably going to go this Sunday and do something. But, and then Magic is something that I think, and this at the very, very end of the book, is the one thing I wanted to leave off on Magic, because that was a message that I really just kind of wanted to put out in the world.
Right.
So the reason why I chose those 3 is because they all mean very much to me, and I feel like those 3 poems sum up what this book is about, and it's about like transformation, growth, and magic. Basically,
right.
Yeah.
Would you read The Tower?
Yeah.
From your book?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I did notice that it's like those 3 was the most you wrote extensively.
Yeah. They're the longest ones.
The longest ones out of the book.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, I can read it now. Tower. If I can't touch your soul, you'll never know mine. I protect my heart on the highest mountain, high in a tower with no stairs leading to it. You have to knock it down if you want to reach me. My walls are sturdy. These bricks are made of diamonds, chipped from my past exes that tried to climb their way up only to cut their journey short, thinking it wasn't worth the climb. If I can't see your soul, you will never be allowed to step into the sacred chambers of my heart. I crave someone that's able to reach me without trying to, that wants to speak to my mind without asking my permission to do so. Reach me through laughter. Reach me through pain. Reach through the pain. Reach through the fiery anger and the concrete exterior I give the world. Reach me there. Pull me down from my tower. Come at me like an unwanted eviction notice. Give me hope, not promises. Give me more than just pleasure. Climb this mountain I've created, forged through the snow and ice. If you reach me, you'll be on top of this world, high above the clouds, seeing colors you've never seen before. You swear it was heaven. I will invite you into my divinity if you reach me.
What made you write it?
I think I wrote this early 2016. And at that time, I was single and frustrated with love and frustrated with anyone that tried to approach me, because they could never reach me on a spiritual level. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very in tune to the universe around me.
Right.
So I wrote this like it's kind of like a warning. Like, if you can't touch my soul, if you can't feed my soul, then you will never reach me at the the depth that you want to reach me at. Like, I'm very protective of my heart. My heart is is literally, like I said in the poem, is protected in a tower. So you kind of have to like really knock it down or climb to even get to the depths of my heart. I'm getting chills. To get to the depths of my heart. So it's kind of like, it was me letting people know, it's like, look, you may want to be in a relationship with me, you may want to be in love with me, but if you can't feed my soul, if you can't, try to remotely reach through all of the things that I'm, put up and I'm guarded or whatever, then you'll never love me the way that you think that you want to love me. So it's pretty much a warning.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't, we're not born that way. So we have to experience something pretty harsh to get into that position. You obviously experienced bad love?
Yeah, no, like I've had, like, I don't think I've had any like bad experiences throughout my life that is like horrible, but the one thing that has like, harmed me the most is love and loving people that didn't love me back, or them loving me and I'm not loving them back or anything like that. So I feel like that's a lot of my, my lessons in this life that I have to learn, is how to learn to love unconditionally. And I really feel like I have it. I feel like I had it. Like early 2016, I ain't have it. But now I feel like I've really grown into this person that is super vulnerable and will let anybody in. And, I kind of just give people the benefit of the doubt now. Because I know that people don't have ill intent, but, I'm also very happily married now, so
right.
I don't have any problems.
How long you been married now?
I've been married for a year and 5 months.
Okay.
So I'm super excited.
So this when you wrote your poetry piece, anything pertaining to the one you love now, who you married now?
Yeah, actually, I think I do. It's a little thing. It's very little. I think it's called, I don't know if it's titled.
I bet I want to know.
Yeah, no. It's called Home. It's like literally, it's a blip of a thing.
Read it.
Okay, Home. Virgo supercluster, local group, Milky Way galaxy, Orion spiral arm, solar system, Earth, United States of America, Carolina. I don't want to know my place in the universe without you. And then the next one is just an affirmation. You hurt the ones you love the most by being fearful. I don't know if you noticed that within the book itself, is that I have like many affirmations in between. So they're not necessarily poems. They're just kind of like things I want the reader to know.
So, because when I was reading it, I realized there's two things in this book. There's poems, and I felt like there was motivational statements.
Yeah, definitely. Motivational statements and affirmations. And like things that I like, those came from, I had like an exercise. I don't know if you've ever seen A Walk to Remember.
No.
Okay, so it's an old chick flick with Mandy Moore, but I saw it when I was like in my early teens, and maybe your son's age, maybe when I saw it for the first time. And it was based off a Nicholas Sparks book or whatever, but there was a particular thing that like really hit home for me, was that her mother, who died from cancer or whatever, she had a book of things that she wanted her daughter to know, or like lessons and little like quotes that she wanted her daughter to know. So I wrote one of my own, and I chose to share some things out of that book within this one, because I feel like the things that I've learned, I feel like some people can know these lessons too, and maybe they can learn from me instead of making the same mistakes themselves. So that's why I included those in there.
Right. That's awesome. I do know when I was reading, the theme that beat the drum beat through your book was love, relationship, spirituality.
Yes.
And I feel like that was like the sum of your emotion when you was putting these words down. How long? What was the span of time? How long did it take you to write this?
Well, to put everything together, it took me a span of a month, because I published this myself. So it took me about a month to put everything together, and I think I went through 13 edits before I got the perfect format that I wanted. So, but overall, the span of these poems, like I think it's 2018 now. So I'm trying to think the oldest poem that's in here. Heartstring is the oldest poem in here. And I think I wrote this one in 2012.
2012.
So from 2012 until, right here, current in time. Like Home is a very recent poem. I wrote that in 2018.
Right.
So from 2012-ish to about 2018, so that's about 6 years.
6 years.
These poems, even though I feel like it's very short, it's like a little chapbook, but it pretty much summed up these poems summed up those 6 years for me and what I learned. And you're absolutely right. Like a lot of these poems focus on love, growth, spirituality, and self-love. And that's something within those 6 years from 2012 until now, I had to learn how to love myself. So that's definitely like, the overall this is like a love letter to myself, something that I can, pick up and be like, girl, you wrote this?
Right. I know when I was looking at one of your posts in your personal blog, you was very excited that you published it.
Yeah.
And you said you were very scared also.
Yes, because I am giving a piece of myself out to the world. Like, I think any artist is afraid of what anybody is going to say. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff. Right. But I was just opening myself up to not only to, the world and locally, but to the universe, period. Like, this is my love letter to myself. This is my letter of self-love to myself and acceptance. And, hey, I've grown and I know how to love not only myself, but other people.
Right.
So, it was definitely something that I was kind of like, screw it. I'm just going to put it out there.
Right.
Like, whatever. I might be afraid, like, because I've been holding on to this title of the chapbook for a very long time. Like, I knew that this is actually something that was on my list of things to do, like, before I turned 30.
Right.
And I'll be 30 in not this year, but next year. So I guess 2 years. I'm 2 years away from 30. Right. So I wanted to do this because it was something I wanted to prove to myself. It's like, you know what? Why am I stopping myself from being a writer? And actually, another person that you interviewed, Centrina,
right.
She was one of the people that pushed me. She was like, why are you waiting for somebody to publish you? Why don't you just publish yourself? And I was just like, you know what, girl, you're right. You are absolutely right.
Right. So, so self-publishing, was it hard to do?
Actually, I'm surprised at how easy it was. It was a very, very easy process. I used Create Space.
Okay.
It's the Amazon-based company. The reason why I went with them is because another poet that I admire, R.H. Sin.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's used that. And he's used that multiple times. He is blown up. He's like what they call this wave of Instagram poets. Okay. And I feel like I'm a part of that wave as well because a lot of my poems are, short. They're like short, sweet, to the point. You can post it on Instagram. A lot of these poems you can post on Twitter because they're under 140 characters. So I feel like I'm a part of that wave of Instagram and Twitter poets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to go into one of your poems that that's stuck in my mind. Mm-hmm. Not the entire poem, but actually one of the phrases out of the poem. It's called Holy.
Oh, God, that's my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Yes, because it seemed like, okay, funny story about this. Holy was at the end of Water. And it had always been at the end of Water. When I performed it, that was the end of Water, that piece. But when I was writing, putting everything together, I was just like, this little bit is too good to be at the tail end of another really great piece. Right. I cannot do that. So I was just like, you know what? I am just going to separate it. And, Holy was something I feel like this poem in itself was like something that I anointed, like every single word that I wrote on the
So now I need you to read it. So
okay. All right. This is my favorite, my absolute favorite. Other than Magic, this is like my fave.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to change, but no, it's still my fave. Holy. Arrogance and ignorance breed a world consumed by hate, greed, and envy. It is no wonder that God took pity on allowing his only son to die for us, knowing that our free will would be the end of us. Without forgiveness, heaven would be empty. We must find God within ourselves.
Wow. I like this. This is actually my favorite one.
It's my favorite.
What stuck out was without forgiveness, heaven would be empty. It really never dawned on me like, okay, it would be empty.
It would be empty, right.
What gave you those words? Did they just flow to you?
No, they're just something that kind of flowed through me. Like, I let God speak through me all the time. I'm getting chills right now. I let him speak through me all the time. And that's something that I feel like that I did not get when I was being raised, as a Christian, is the fact that, everything he wouldn't have had his only begotten son die for us if we wasn't going to be forgiven.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of people forget the fact that, hey, we're already forgiven. He's already expecting us to sin.
Right.
It's just the fact that you have to accept that, hey, God is here and he loves you. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that just kind of flowed out of me because, and that was actually something I wrote at the tail end, only the first, I want to say the 1, 2, 3, 4. Only those first 4 lines were a part of Water. The rest of them are brand new. I think I wrote them right before I published the book, because I was just like, this poem is way too good. It's way too good. It's so short, sweet, to the point, but it's way too good to be at the tail end of Water. So I think that's why it follows up Water, because but it needed to have a page of its own. It had to have a love page of its own, and then that's why I put the quote afterwards, which love comes from within, because that's exactly where it comes from. And that's where, my favorite thing that my grandmother says is, we're all God's children, so we should walk in his light. And that light, and you have to think about what God is. God is love. So if we are all God's children and God is within himself, we're made in his image, then love always comes from within. And I think a lot of people forget that because they want to outsource love. They're like, my relationships never work out because blah, 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 or whatever. They don't love me the way I need them to be loved. I was like, first off, have you loved yourself first?
Right.
Love comes from within. You're like, if you don't love yourself first, how do you expect somebody else to take a job from you that you need to be doing? Right. So, yeah, I love Holy. Holy is, I feel like it's my coming to church moment.
Coming to church moment. Were you raised in the church?
I was raised Missionary Baptist, but now I'm just spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yeah, I'm spiritual.
You took off the labels.
Yeah, no, I don't like the labels because I don't like anything to define me, because I kind of pull from a little bit of everywhere. Like, I pull from Christianity, Islam, I pull from Buddhist, Taoist, even Confucianism sometimes, because I need it. I feel like nobody should be limited from the messages that God wants to receive them. Like, that's one thing that I tell people. God has many names, many forms, many kind of just instances. God can come to you as a butterfly because that's what you need at that moment in time. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I won't, outside of all the conspiracy theories that people may put out there about Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, that whether they're real or not, I know one thing: God is real.
This is true.
Yeah, God is real. I know true. That.
That's true. And that's why this is one of my favorite ones. The other one, and I put it down here, is to read Hopeless.
Hopeless. Let me see.
And I like this this poem because it speaks to a lot of things that's happening in people's lives, and they have to keep struggling to move on.
Yeah, because I wrote this. I remember when I wrote this, I was in a really dark place. And I wanted to just, because everything. I was in the very beginning of like my spiritual journey, like, you know, finding myself and my connection to the universe, and, you know, everything in me was like, you know, like in my inner voice, my intuition was telling me to change the world, and I'm just like, how can I change the world? How?
Right.
Like how? Like, and it's like it's like when you're letting go of what you know, you have to go through a grieving period. Like I feel like anything that you take as a loss, or like you feel like you lost. Like I feel like I lost my religion. I had to go through a grieving period before I found what I call, it's not even a religion, it's just my spirituality and my connection to God. So like I wrote this in the middle of that grieving period. You know how they have like, you have denial, and then there's anger, and then there's why. So I was in that in between stage of anger and why. Like, you want me to change the world, so how do you want me to do it? So yeah, that one really spoke to me. I think my favorite line in here is, well, I might as well just read the whole thing. It's so short. Hopeless. How can I change the world when I continuously make mistakes? Caught up trying to make it, doing what it takes to live, breathe the struggle one more damn day. The promise of tomorrow ain't a gift today. One hope gets drowned by sorrow. Time moving forward so fast, it feels like I'm always late. I can change my fate, just not the date on the calendar.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like that. It really, like, it just kind of like, I needed to put it on a paper, because I'm just like, I can't, like, I'm sitting here, I've always been sitting, you know, trying to be present in the moment, and I'm sitting here trying to beat tomorrow's clock, tomorrow's deadline, and I had to stop living that way. I had to stop feeling so hopeless, to, you know, and then really truly just move on and be like, you know what, I'm gonna change the world how I need to change the world. Like, not like having all this pressure on myself that I was putting on my own shoulders to, you know, just try to change the world, but still try to be alive. I had to take care of myself first. So that was kind of that in a nutshell.
How do you find peace?
Meditation.
Meditation?
Yeah, meditation, and a lot of just, I actually do hypnosis as
Hypnosis?
well. Yeah, so hypnosis gives me a lot of peace. I'm an overthinker. Like, I'm a classic overthinker. So, yeah.
When you do how does that work?
You know, YouTube is a very wonderful source. There's a lot of guided hypnosis on YouTube, and there's a lot of guided meditations. Like the clients that I help now, I send them links to YouTube all the time. I'm just like, yo, you probably don't find this often, but, you know, let me just send you a couple of links so you can do a guided meditation. Because a lot of people find themselves like, they just try to meditate with some music in the background, everything, and they're aware of all of their surroundings instead of focusing on being present in the moment and focusing on their breath. And truth be told, I feel like a lot of people think that they can just be like, okay, so I'm gonna wake up and meditate. Meditating is a skill. So you have to build up tolerance to sit down and, like, you know, actually talk. Well, not talk, but, like, you know, just be calm and be present in the current moment in time. So it took me a long time. Like, I started meditating in 2012, and I feel like I am just now getting to an advanced level to where I don't need someone guiding me.
Right.
But if I have a lot on my mind, or I'm having a lot of trouble focusing, then I'll just do a hypnosis, or I'll do a guided meditation. But that's how I find my peace. And I take walks. Take walks in the in nature, breathing that beautiful prana.
There's 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was back to back, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be wrong.
I hate that I didn't number these now.
Yes, no number. So one was never forget why you leave someone. If you return and no time has passed to change them, you will be reminded.
Oh yeah. Okay, 2014.
And that follows up with radiance. Emotion can still glow after the storm has cleared and passed us by. When the worst is finally over, it can still linger. With those pages back to back, it felt like never forget why you leave someone.
Okay, so you remember the book that I was telling you about before? That actually came from that book as well. Now, it's kind of like something that my grandma always told me, but I'm just now getting it. But the reason why I wrote that is because I had like this on and off thing. I wouldn't even call it a relationship. It was a thing that I had with someone. And, it was like I was the person that was like, well, they were the person that was always running or whatever. And this time at that particular time, I had left them.
Right.
And I was just like, whatever. I want them to, but like less than 3 months later, I went back and I was just like, you are still the same person.
Right.
So when I wrote that, it was like I remember it was like 3:00 in the morning or something like that. And I just couldn't sleep and my mind was racing. And that was one of the things that just kind of flowed out of me. Like, never forget why you leave someone. Because if you, it's kind of like if you just basically what I said. If you return to them and no time has passed to change them, then you will be reminded, because the universe will hurt your feelings.
Right.
God and the universe, they don't be playing. When they send somebody out your life, they mean it.
Right.
So if you go back, then guess what? They're gonna hurt your feelings.
Right. And then so you couple that with after the storm is cleared past us by, the worst is finally over, you can still linger.
Yeah, radiant. And that was, you're absolutely right. They were like, these were something, I think I wrote Radiance first and then this one, but I ordered it backwards because I wanted this one to follow up Love. Because Love, I feel like everybody has like that poem, or like every poet has a poem that defines love and what that means for them. But mine, it wasn't something. My version of love at this time was not nice. It was not a nice definition of love. It wasn't something that was. It was something that was an addiction. I felt like I had to go to rehab or something because I was addicted to love and I couldn't just stop. Like I couldn't just stop and be like, okay.
So you love hard.
Yeah, I love extremely hard. I love definitely extremely, extremely hard. Like I love love. Like love is my forte. Like it's definitely my strong suit. And I see that you have that open. If you're wondering,
you know what I'm going through next. So I want you to, I want you, and this is French.
Yes, it is French.
How do you pronounce? I can't pronounce it.
Je suis forte means I am strong, and I use the female version of that word because it's usually je suis forte, which is the male version of that. But if you're talking about a female or in the female light, then it has to have that E.
Okay,
on the end.
I just learned something. Yeah,
so it just means I am strong. But the reason why that I gave it that title. I was really deep into learning French at that time. So, but this is actually a new poem as well from like this year, like as recent as this year. But this one was definitely to my wife. And it's very much the truth because I feel like sometimes like something about me makes me stronger than her. And that's literally what I wrote there because I really just want to take her pain away and make it mine and, put it on my shoulders, put it on my plate to deal with and, so that she doesn't have to deal with that. So that's definitely. So
you're saying you are absorbing the pain.
Yeah, that's what I want. Like I would want to do, but sometimes the universe just won't allow you because it's not your pain to carry. It's like, it's not something that you have to bear yourself. But
do you absorb a lot of pain? Other places, other outside of relationship, job wise, other people wise, do you? Because I think I do that. I think whatever someone's going through, I feel it in me.
Yeah, no, and I do the same thing, and I have the same habit, but I kind of built up a wall and a barrier between feeling other people's emotions because sometimes I'll be like super sad and super just like. Just out of my head, and I'm like, could have been woke up really happy and in a good mood, and I'm just like, where's this coming from? So I have to like just close it off so I don't have to feel everybody's everything. But yeah, I do have a really strange habit of taking other people's like, pain or feeling it with them. I think a lot of people come to me for advice because I can really feel them. Like I can really feel how they feel on an emotional level, and I'd be like, okay, I get it because I know what that feels like. So it's kind of like relating to someone, but you've never been through the issue before. It's just, another form of relating to someone because you can feel it. But it just clues in to how like open we both are to the universe. Like if you are just open to see, like, can feel how someone else is feeling, like you just extremely open. I mean, we're all connected. We're all connected as human beings. Like we all have little tiny connections to each other. You have to think of it as like satellite waves. You know how like satellites bounce off of each other? That's how human beings are. Like even with strangers, like we all are connected in some kind of way. Like we can all relate to each other in some kind of way. And when someone tells me that there's no way that anybody can relate to me, I'm just like, BS, because guess what? I know how you feel.
You do you follow astronomy and things like that?
Yeah, no, I'm a strong believer of astronomy, like astrology and astronomy, and the celestial bodies and how they affect our planet, because they do have if the moon has a direct effect on our planet, of course other planets do. So I definitely believe in that.
You have a consider yourself, because you're very different. I would consider you what I call my own daughter, flower child.
Definitely much. I feel like I was born in the wrong era. Like I should have been born like in the 60s or something, or like been like this age in the 60s. But I feel like I'm in the right time right now. I used to feel that way, but I feel like I'm in the right time now because people need to like hear what I have to say, and so I'm setting myself up to really do what I was called to do, which is be a part of the change for the world to see. I think one of my favorite quotes is by Dalai Lama, or the Dalai Lama at the time, and he was like, the women of the West were going to change the world, and I'm just like, that is absolutely true, because I feel like I'm about to change the world.
Are you a political person?
Sometimes. I told myself once the little Cheeto got elected, I wasn't going to be really into politics. But, for the most part, I try to stay out of it if it's not, nowadays I don't try. I try to stay out of it if it's not about social injustice. Right. So I'm very outspoken when it comes to social injustice and, things happening to people of color, children, women. Period. Like I don't like it.
Yeah, that's what I asked you because of the climate, because you express love and how we're all connected. Right. And with the climate now, hate. What would be your message to those who hate on each other? Or what is your message of love? I feel
like everybody they need to be able to walk in other people's shoes. Like, so for someone that hates me because of the color of my skin, I need them to walk in my shoes for half a second. Like, I've done this several times with, other people that have felt, opposite sides of me, especially when it comes to police shooting people that are unarmed. I don't care if they're black, white, purple, blue, Mexican. I don't care. Like, that's just wrong. It's not right. So I had to, put it in perspective. I was like, look, you're not my same skill killer, but what if it was your nephew that got shot in the head? Right. How would you feel then? How would you feel then? How would you feel if someone that was that close to you, that was, a kindred brother, somebody that was a member of your church that you knew and knew personally or knew of or something, like if that happened, how would you feel? Yeah. And they'll be like, well, I never thought of it that way. And he was like, and in those questions, it's like, hey, like you have to think about those things. Think about, even though I'm not related to this person, what happened to them was still wrong. Like, and they look like me. Right. So if someone that looked like you was being put in, that were having to go through these things, how would you feel? Like, and, some, like a lot of things that have been happening to, that half of the population, which majority makes up most of America, we only make up a blip, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they've been, being faced, like, especially Donald Trump supporters, they've been feeling what we've been feeling for centuries. Like, why do people hate me for no reason? Like, I'm a good person. Like, why don't you just see that? Why do you always see that I'm evil? I'm just like, well, doesn't it suck? Well, doesn't it suck? But my main message to them is that you have to love you have to have love for everyone. Yeah. Like, if you can't meet someone with love and meet them halfway and with a closed mouth, then you need to fix some things within yourself. Like, I really truly feel like anybody that has any hate in their heart for anyone, they hate themselves. They do not like themselves, especially when I see Black people that, speak on, that have such hate in their heart, especially towards their own people. I'm just like, you need to fix that. You need to fix that before. And that's one thing that I like about Buddhism, is that Buddhism is all about loving yourself, fixing yourself so you can be better for society.
Right.
So, and I feel like a lot of people don't do that first before they start speaking on, things that are on a grander scale of things, the bigger picture. And the reason why they come from a place of hate is because they hate themselves. So, like, all I do is, I feel like they're slowly but surely they're becoming more people like me in the world, right, that meet the world with love. And even if someone feels differently than me, it's like, you know what? I agree to disagree, but I still love you anyway, because you know what? You taught me something today. I feel like a lot of the arguments, I stopped getting in arguments on Facebook for one, but a lot of the things that I have, a lot of the conversations that I've had, as soon as I closed my mouth with my opinion and how I felt, and listen to the other person and listen to the other side and starting asking questions, I realized why they, they feel that way. So another word of advice is to ask questions instead of being like, blah, 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 you can't feel that way. You can't tell someone how they feel, but you can ask questions about how they feel. Right. Because if you ask enough questions, maybe those questions will be the reason why they change their mind. Like, recently I had a guy arguing with me about, it wasn't even an argument, it was a discussion. It was an open discussion about, women equality. Like, how, men are they're just built different. They have different minds. They're stronger and this, that, and the third. They're more rational and women are more emotional and this, that, and the third. And he used that as an explanation as why we don't get paid as much as men do. Wow. And I'm just like, so I shut my mouth and I started asking questions. And it's like, what makes you think that women are stronger or men are stronger than women? And he was just like, well, muscles and this, that, and the third. It's like, have you ever had to give birth? And he was like, have you had to have a menstrual cycle where you're in pain for 7 days and you don't die? Okay, so I just want to, have you ever dealt with emotional immaturity or whatever, and have to go through that pain and heartbreak of dealing with someone that isn't emotionally mature? He was like, no, but what does this have to do with pay? I was like, that's exactly the point, is that women are more capable of handling these things that men can't, yet we can still be on the same playing field. So, and he was just like, I never thought about it that way.
Wow.
And I'm just like, questions change the mind. Like, if you question someone, because people are ready, they're always ready to defend their opinion, but they're not always ready to answer questions about their opinion. Wow. So, I think that would definitely be my main word of advice. Ask questions. If somebody upsets you and they have a opinion that is opposite of yours, start asking questions. Ask them how they got to this. Ask for evidence. Or, well, not even ask for evidence, because people there's a lot of fake articles out there, be like, post, here's a link. Yeah. But, ask them to break down why they feel the way they feel, because more often than not, that has been how I've been able to change minds versus, shooting my opinion at them. Like, this is how I feel. I don't care how you feel about it. No, I do care how you feel about it. Tell me, ask me questions. Ask me how, why I feel the way I do, because I'll be more than happy to answer those questions because I know exactly what it is.
Because you're so unique, do you feel isolated?
I feel that I can relate to almost anyone.
Okay.
And it took now in my childhood, like when I was younger, until I got to maybe age 15, I felt very isolated because I felt like an outcast. Like I didn't belong in any group, or I didn't belong to Black kids. The white kids didn't really like me like that.
Right.
The only people that really kind of gave me love were like nerds, basically, like the ones that were already outcasted themselves. So I didn't really come into a place to where I had more friends or people that I could relate to until I was in high school, which I just kind of just said F it, and I threw everything out the window. Right. And was like, you know what, I'm not gonna fit in, but I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna stop being so shy. And as soon as I said that to myself, I stopped being so shy. I'm very outgoing. I used to be I feel like I'm still very introverted because I don't like to socialize like
right.
that. Like social media might be the extension that I have for socializing, but like friendship wise, I feel like I can relate to almost anybody on this planet. I'm gonna be able to relate to them or get them on a level that nobody else has really gotten them, because I am in tune and I do have a gift from God. But hey, like I feel like because I'm so open and I love everybody and I truly, truly love myself, that I can really give love to almost everybody. So I don't feel that isolated. I mean, I feel like nobody will really get me because, that's just how I am. I just don't like people to know too much about me. Okay. But, yeah, I just feel like I can relate to almost everybody on this planet. Like almost everybody. Anything. I can find like the silliest things. Like, my nephew, I feel like me and him have had a disconnect for a very long time, but he likes Minecraft, and I'm curious about Minecraft. So he will sit there and talk to me about Minecraft for hours. I'll be like, you know what, that is so cool, babe. How you build that? Okay, can you show me? So it's just kind of like, you have to find, sometimes I think people don't realize is that you have to find something, an easy trick to have friends with anyone. Find something that they're interested in and ask them questions about that. Questions, going back to the questions thing. It's like ask them questions about what they're into, because people love to talk about things that they love.
Right.
And it's absolutely crazy. And that's why, people love me. But I like to talk about things that people love, and because that's where, like, when you like seeing someone light up, like, and being like, you really want to know about this? Like, that's so cool. I'm going to talk to you for like ever about it. But then you find like you yourself gain knowledge on things that you didn't know about before. Like, I had no idea about cosplay, but I've made several friends that do cosplay, and they've showed, like, I've asked them questions about, can I do it too? I'm a Black girl, but can I do it too? I think it's so cool. Yeah. So it's just kind of like you can relate to everybody on some kind of level because you can ask them about what they like to do. I love to ask people, what's your favorite thing to do? Oh, I've never heard of that. What is it about? Like, what can you do? Like, it's, I don't know. It's all about, I feel like everything can be a question, especially when it comes to what people love. I feel like I can connect with everybody. I
see that.
Everybody.
I see that. Everybody's connected. So I'm going to have you read one last, and it's Magic, the one you ended everything with.
Oh my God, this is my baby. I wrote this. This was the last poem that I wrote in this year. Aside from my next project that's coming up. Mm-hmm. But I love this. This is precious to me because I really felt like, and this poem was the last poem that I wrote in the book, and it followed up another poem that I wrote in here, and I can't. I think it followed up Hopeless. That's what it did. Okay. So Hopeless, even though it was an old poem, I wrote this on the back of Hopeless, and it was this year. So because it's like a follow up to that. Like, hey, this is what I learned. Like, I came from this hopeless point, but then I came to this point, and I'm just like, okay, I get it now. This is what it is. Okay, so here's Magic. In this world, there are things left unexplained. We want to understand them, but we shouldn't try to. Where there is mystery, there is magic. Let there be some magic left, something to anticipate. Without some magic, there's little to be desired, too little to hope for when the outcome is certain. There is freedom to daydream of possibilities that may not be reality. Magic is something that you feel, like gravity and the ability to swim out of the womb. Magic is ingrained in our being, only to be forgotten in our adulthood, laying dormant in childhood memories. In our subconscious, we try to feel less, question and suppress the need for magic. We are attached to the monitors that monitor our lives. The buzz, the hum, and the pops of magic can be drowned in concrete.
Wow.
Yep.
That's an awesome point.
It's my baby. Because it's very relatable to what almost everybody is doing now. Like, I feel like everybody has a 9-to-5.
Right. A
lot of people just like, I have no choice but to have a 9-to-5. And they kind of forget about the magic that's just within us. And it's like, and like, I feel like a lot of people like look at the word magic as a bad word or something that is just like, it doesn't exist. But literally, if you like, say your son wants a piece of candy on the way home, right? And he's thinking about it, wishing for it, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And, you know, he stops and thinks about it or whatever. And you stop and be like, you know what? Go pick out you a candy bar. Manifest that, like that, manifesting something that you want. That's magic in itself. Like anything that you want, like law of attraction type thing, that is magic. Like if you go and achieve something that you've always dreamed of achieving, that's magic. Like, and I feel like, and it's such a simple word to describe what that is because it's really deeper than that. But in the gist of it, magic. Love is magic because a lot of things come out of love that is absolutely amazing and it makes you feel so much better. And people are just like, what, did you cast a spell on me? No, it's just with the magic that you already have inside of you. Everybody has a dose of magic. Everybody. And we forget about it.
Well, this podcast is magic because
right.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time putting it together. And,
right.
So what's next?
Well, the next venture, I'm in the process of writing a follow-up. It's not going to be like 30 for 30 because this was something that I did for me. The next project I do is going to take way longer than this did, like putting it together wise, because everything is, you know, something I'm writing brand new. A lot of things that I may incorporate some things that I wrote previous, rework them, and put them together. But the next one is truly my baby. This is my heart right here. This is my heart and my soul left out vulnerable for the universe. Again, I really don't care if anybody buys it, you know, type deal. For the next one, that's going to be my child. It's something that I have to give birth to. It's probably going to take a while for me to get that out there. But, not even a while. I gave myself 2 years to complete it. So, but that one, that project, I actually have one. I'll you read it later because it's absolutely beautiful. It's like my great grandfather on my step grandmother's side, but he adopted me as his own. So I wrote a poem about him, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It gave me chills, and I feel like I would never perform it because I would probably cry. I would probably cry because I'm just like it means so much to me. But it's called Gold. But he had, what is it? What was the thing that Michael Jackson had?
The gloves?
No, the skin disorder.
Oh, vitiligo.
Yeah, that one. He had that disorder, but he was born after slavery had ended.
Wow.
So he was white passing for the most part. But the only thing that clued him into being black was the fact that half his ears were brown and like half of his face was brown or whatever. So he was allowed to come into the farmers markets and stuff and sell his items because he grew corn, watermelon, vegetables and stuff like that. He had 5 kids to provide for. So I wrote something towards, for him, because I feel like everybody has a story of, where they came from and, their ancestors and things like that. So I feel like a lot of this book is going to be paying homage to my ancestors and paying homage to myself and putting more lessons out there in the world that I feel like people really just need to hear. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be another love story. I feel like it's going to be more of a lessons.
Right.
Lessons that you need to know. Like, honor the people that came before you, honor the wombs that gave birth to you, because without those wombs, you would not be here. So, like, it's kind of like that. I don't know. Cool. I'm still, like, in the process. I actually have writer's block right now because I haven't written anything in a very long time. But I feel like this month might be my month to actually get my ball rolling, writing again. And because I'll write in short bursts. Like, I'll write for, like, 2 months at a time and then be like, a month, be like, right. Okay, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. Well, when you do write it, I want you to come back on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think it's going to, like, I feel like it's not going to take me 2 years. I feel like it's going to take me less than that.
Well, I hope we're here in 2 years, too.
Right.
I will be, though.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to tell you that I see that on your Instagram, you only have 42 posts, but however, you have over 15 or 1,700 followers. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did that all by myself.
So people are. So I know that when they hear this interview, you're gonna double those. And, And my hopes for you is that everything gets off the ground faster than you can believe.
Right.
And I can't wait because I know a lot more about you from reading this poetry book. Yeah. And I feel like we are akin. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways I couldn't imagine before I read it. Right. But thank you for coming on the Fan Club Project podcast.
Yay. That was a pleasure to have. It was a pleasure to be here. And it was a pleasure just talking to you. I feel like I was just talking to you. We were just having a normal conversation.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It was
fun. Before we go, what do you want your fans? Do you have a message for your fans?
I want you guys to love yourselves. Love yourself first before you put anyone else before you, even your kids. And I know a lot of people are going to feel some type of ways like, I'm never going to put myself before my kids. But you need to, because without you loving yourself first, your kids will never know what love feels like. Because if you don't love yourself and you don't take the time to take care of yourself, then that's going to trickle down in your immediate circle. Whether it's your family, whether it's your mom, dad, lover, all of that. You have to love and take care of yourself. So come up with a self-care ritual. Do your makeup, wash your face, take a shower, go to the gym, all of that. Make sure you're loving and taking care of yourself, because it took me a long time, a damn long time, to learn to love myself before I loved anyone else. And it's hard, and it sounds like it's selfish, but it's not selfish. That's the one thing that you can do in this world that is not selfish.
Cool. Mm-hmm. CR Knight, 30 Before 30.